This is Ken Evans at Manhood Journey. And sitting next to me is Justin MacDonald. And last night, we hosted in Louisville, Kentucky, our benefit dinner. We had some debate, Justin, over whether it's called a gala or a gala.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of
There you go.
tension in
Obviously
the room.
gala, right.
Tension in the room. People were, weeping and gnashing of teeth about how you should refer to this thing. But we had almost 200 people, about 190 people in the room in Louisville, Kentucky. And Sherman Smith came. It was amazing. We raised some money for the ministry. We shared some where we've been, where we're going kind of stuff. It was a blast. We were running a little bit behind schedule. And as such, I made an executive decision to kind of shorten a portion of the evening where I was going to share what Manhood Journey is up to. And Justin, who flew in from California, was going to share about his experience with Manhood Journey. And looking back, it might have been the right call to make at the moment. However, as I was debriefing with my family last night, all of my family, my wife, my older kids, they all said, man, we wish there'd have been more time to hear from Justin. And then I went to breakfast today with one of our donors who said the same exact thing. He said, man, I would have loved to have heard more from Justin. So I'm like, all right, it doesn't take too much for me to get the message that we probably needed to extend that time. And so we thought, hey, Justin's still in town for another few hours before his flight. We've got a video camera. We've got some mics. Why not sit down and have a longer conversation about Justin MacDonald, his family, his experience, not just with Manhood Journey. This isn't a Manhood Journey commercial.
Should be.
But let's talk about your journey as a dad over the last 6-7 years. Let's talk about how Manhood Journey has or hasn't factored into that. Take us back to when Caleb was about 12. And again, think like, you're back in the room last night. There's a few hundred people out there, a couple hundred people out there. If you had more time, what would you have said last night about the beginning of this journey for you as a dad when you realized, I may not be quite the dad I'm cracked up to be?
Yeah. Well, first, we want to hear more from Justin. Said no one ever until apparently I came to Louisville.
Kentucky.
They love
Kentucky.
I gotta show up here more often. And two, I'm not as good of a storyteller as you are. So you just stream this, how it goes. But three, if there is one dad out there that can be encouraged by this in any way, that's who I'm talking to right now.
Yeah.
So Manhood Journey has helped save my family, and really what Manhood Journey smacked me upside the head and pointed me to, which is just God's word and truth, right? And Field Manual for Life has saved my family, saved, redeemed, and strengthened my relationship with my son.
What'd you notice that was wrong? What'd you notice that was wrong? Like if you were a doctor, you go back to when Caleb was 12, 8 years ago, when Caleb was 12, and you could diagnose. What were the symptoms? What was the problem in your fatherhood?
Right.
You as a husband, what would you say?
The problem, the external problem, was he was angry and defiant. Okay. I've been a football coach my first part of my life, been a leader. People, I'm good at leading, guiding, mentoring, raising, and coaching, especially boys, right? And so I'm like, all these tricks, they're not working on you. You're clearly the problem. So the problem was that, and it was a grown alpha male locking horns with a preteen alpha male who didn't know it, and that's just not going to fly in our house. So it's ego, it's pride, it's those things, but it's also like, hey, this is the way this is supposed to go. You're supposed to obey and listen to your father, blah blah. Yeah. So it was escalate, and Caleb didn't back down. He's extremely strong-willed, and of course, what I realized later is that's exactly is his gifting.
Exactly.
Right. I think the difference between a really great leader and an a-hole is a very fine line.
It's a fine line. Well, and what's crazy is I think about my 5 boys, the ones I butted heads with the most are probably the ones I'm most like. Yeah. And then it's like, I can get along easier often with people who aren't like me. Yeah. And I know there's something deep there. I'm really mad at myself for acting like that. I can see it in them, crazy, right?
That was it.
But so then where did, part of the problem was manifesting itself as Caleb's strong-headedness and his defiance. You probably had these moments, right, where you look in the mirror, or your wife said, hey, Justin, Caleb may not be the only problem here.
Yeah.
Right? How did that evolve where you started to go, maybe there's things I'm doing that I could either do differently or stop doing that are adding to the problem.
Yeah, right. So one, the cost of all of that actually was spilling into every other part of our
What do you
life.
mean cost?
Yeah, the cost of he and I butting heads, the anger escalation, the volume escalation, right? It's it's spilled into relationships with our brother, just the peace in our home, right?
Yeah.
And of course that starts driving my wife and I. We're trying to we want to come around our son and raise them right, but now there's tensions, and of course moms want to protect their babies, and of course dad's like, hey, only a man can do what a man can do, and both of those are true, but then they get mixed with
I'm sure no
emotions.
dad watching this can relate at all to what you're sharing.
Yeah. So there's just that, and bottom line is there was no peace in our home, and all I want is peace. I want peace in my home. And so it was going. So again, I've been a coach and a business guy a long time. So you look at, hey, I can win in all these other places in life. I know how to win. I know what the scoreboard is, right? And part of the problem was bringing some of those metrics into fatherhood. We're keeping the wrong score.
The wrong score, yeah.
And so I realized, hey, a tree's known by its fruit. Yeah. And so I'm going, this is not the life that I want. This is not the relationship that I want with my kid. This is how my son thinks I feel about him. He did not know I loved him. He did not believe that I loved him. And of course, I'm like, I love you so much. Stop acting like a little jerk because I care about your future, and being a little jerk's not gonna. Anyway, you get all the head trash.
Yeah.
And so so what I noticed was, bottom line, I'm not getting the results that I want. I got to go back upstream. And then, eventually there was only one leader of this house. First off, there was only one leader of Justin, and then there's only one leader of this home. And I got to get that. I got to get that in line.
So you mentioned something that I know we've heard from thousands of dads, and that whole idea of keeping the wrong score,
Yeah.
or playing the wrong game, or looking for the wrong metrics or ROI,
Right.
so common, right? Where guys are really good in one area.
Yeah.
They're a good coach, or they're a good business guy, or they're a good doctor. They save lives all day, and then they cannot get along with their teenage daughter, so then they just go, well, to heck with it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go spend more time as a doctor.
Yeah. The thing that people, applaud me, and I'm affirmed and I'm good at, right? So clearly this is the problem.
Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you just go start more schools or launch more businesses? Like, there was something about either God's spirit or something that caused you to go, wait a minute. I could either go over this and go, kids, teenagers, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But you stopped.
Yeah.
You went, wait a minute. I'm going to try really hard to do something to make this better.
Yeah.
A lot of guys miss that step.
For sure.
What do you think was it that caused you not to miss that step?
Yeah, somewhere earlier, other men that spoke into me, my own value system. So I saw my own hypocrisy because, for example, I was a football coach back in the day, and the back of our shirt said Faith Family Football. And here I am, raising everybody else's boys, but I'm failing to raise my own the right way. So my own conviction, right? There's a cognitive dissonance when we say we are one thing and then we don't produce fruit in that. But so it came down to my own convictions and what I wanted. I wanted to be a good dad. I wanted to be the best dad, right?
Got it.
And so that for me was the main thing.
Okay.
Was like, hey, I'm not actually winning in an area that I say I want to win in.
So let's change the game.
Yeah.
So then you start looking for answers, resources. I'm sure you dive into scripture, whatever, people.
Yeah.
How did Manhood Journey factor in? A big part, little part, somewhat.
Yeah.
Was it anger-free dad? What was the piece of the puzzle or pieces of the puzzle where our ministry, you kind of caught us at a time when you needed it?
Sure. Yeah. So anger-free dad was my first first time I gave you money and said, I need a solution.
Hey, you can buy one of those at manhoodjourney.org. Anger-free-dad. Feel free.
And you should. It was the first time that I said, I don't have a solution. And so again, all these other places, I'm humble enough and hungry enough to take the wisdom, read the books, and do all the things. We somehow assume that, like, innately, I should be able to be a good dad, right? So here we are going pro in all these other places in our life and taking the expertise of everybody else. But there's I think there's a little bit of ego.
JV as a dad.
Yeah, right. And it's like, hey, if I can get pro at that, this is actually the thing I want to be pro at.
What do you think was in? Why anger-free dad? What was in anger-free dad? Was it that's what was manifesting? There's just a lot of tension and yelling.
Yeah.
What was it about anger-free dad that you felt was scratching an itch?
It was me accepting before anger-free dad. It was me accepting that the problem is not the problem. It's how I'm thinking about the problem.
Rock on. Okay.
The problem's not Caleb MacDonald. The problem's Justin MacDonald. And Justin MacDonald's problem is anger. Triggered by his own son more than anyone else on the
I
planet.
see it often in
And
this one area.
disrespected.
Yeah.
There was no human on the planet that has disrespected me the way that my oldest son disrespected me. So like you could just, and I'm going, all right. And then of course, Proverbs says, a man without self-control is like a city without walls.
Yeah.
This is how the enemy attacks, right? Not only what comes in, but also what's allowed out. So there was this, I was just seeing what was in my heart overflowing into other places. The negative stuff was overflowing. And so it's like, hey, I gotta change what's on the inside. So I had to realize, this is the hard part of being honest with yourself. And then allowing yourself some grace,
Right.
is, dude, you suck at this.
Yeah.
You are the problem, and you suck at this, and you suck at this because of, and whatever other head trash, my own dad issues, all that sort of stuff. And then there's like love, acceptance, and grace, and go, what are we going to do going forward?
That's right.
And so it was me accepting, I don't have any solutions. And I want to say one more thing. Everything was prescriptive for me, where it was like, all right, how do I get Caleb the help he needs? And yeah, he does need help.
Okay.
And I looked at like, I don't know, all of it. I'll call in everybody to therapy and this and this. How do we get him to think different and see different and therefore behave different? Landmark forum, people at the church, therapists, all this sort of stuff, and I'm like,
None of it
can help
bad.
my sin?
None of it bad.
No.
Right.
And I remember I'm being on the phone, I'm calling like, I can't do this thing till 6 months and this. And we were at like we were at the end of, it felt like life or death, but it was like, family's going to thrive and survive or not. Right. Wow. And I got a story for that if it's relevant. I mean, we're talking, hanging by a thread. I'll give it to you in a second though. And I downloaded some stuff. You listen to the podcast, gotten some of the, reports and the different stuff that you've done. Some
probably
of the
got a picture of me.
Yeah.
You put it up and I just bring calm.
That's right.
Because of the photo.
Right. It was a heart-shaped locket. And I would open it and there was Kent's face. And I would just say, Kent, speak to me.
That's our new fundraising strategy. We're going to do lockets for dollars. Dollars for lockets. People would pay us not to send them one.
Yeah.
We should do the anti-fundraiser. If you pay me, I won't send you my locket.
Yeah. We'll send it to your mortal enemy. Just to get in their head. This is wild too. You think of the money we spend, the time we spend to be excellent, whatever. Buying the latest thing, going to the latest conference, doing the whatever, paying for my MBA, on and on and on and on. And somewhere back here, I got we have this head trash of, I don't want to spend $49.99 on a course that'll teach me how to be a better dad. You know what I mean?
Maybe we should just raise Anger-Free Dad's price to like $15,000.
I'm thinking,
man,
yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah,
they take out a mortgage,
right? And maybe some psychology here too. It's like, how can whatever it was, $30, $40, $50, whatever it was, how can that actually be the solution to this massive problem that I would pay anything to solve? I would pay anything to solve this.
Right.
And of course, it was, whatever, a very simple little course.
$67.
There it is.
It can be yours. Okay, so you said you had a story to share. Don't forget that story. I'm curious. So you start playing some different tapes. You start seeing the problem differently. A lot of dads we hear from, they will get on this path of, let's call it improved dadhood, whatever it is, whatever the issue is. They get their finances right. They quit looking at porn. They start, whatever their besetting problems are, and they start getting things right. And then immediately they think everybody around them should just snap too.
Yeah.
Right. I've gotten better.
Yeah.
Where are y'all? Like, how come everybody's not happy now?
Yeah.
Did you have that, not dark night of the soul, but did you have that experience where you're like, man, I'm trying to get on a better path here, but I don't feel like I'm getting like the improvement that I want all the way around. Did that happen?
Yeah. For sure. And for sure with my oldest son, for sure with him. It's like, dude, I'm finally being better. Why aren't you? And of course, well, he's got 12 years of, you've always been this way, Dad. You have affected the way that I have seen the world. This is how I see the world, which is extra guilt, right? And then ultimately massive ownership. And somewhere in me, one of my primary things is I own my choices and my outcomes. So I actually believe that, which is hard to accept and then go, man, I even own this. And then there's the guilt of, did I mess up my son forever? Right? And then there's the belief of, no, I didn't. God loves him more than me. God does not have grandchildren. This is God's son. And I have the privilege, and it is a gift, to walk alongside this young man, And of course, we see our boys as 12-year-olds. Our moms still see them as their 4-year-olds, but God sees them as the 25, the 45, the 55. So he already sees them because he's outside of time. And so, and I can do that with other people's boys. I see like, hey, I know you see your 12-year-old. I see what he's going to look like when he's a D1 quarterback, right? And so being able to get out of your own head and going, hey, what does God see? Let me see my son the way God sees my son. Let me affirm, hey, this is what I see in in you. And when he goes off the handle and he's, griping about this or complaining about this or spewing about this, because that was some of his thing, he'd spew this negativity or whatever, and victimhood, and it's this teacher's fault and that kid's fault. And I started seeing it, and I said, you know what? I started learning. My wife and I both started learning to affirm the true goodness that was somewhere at the root of the misbehavior, right?
Yeah.
Of, hey, you know what? I love your righteous sense of justice. I love that about you. God gave you that gift, because that was actually usually God gave you that gift now. And I love that about you, and God's going to use that for so much good. Now, you're seeing this very black and white, right? And so let's talk about, how do you think you would have handled it? It took a long time, 40-something years to realize. So
I remember my oldest son, Alex, who you've met, was really headstrong, very aggressive, and he just liked to be counterculture. Even now, he's 26, and he will take a side of an argument that he doesn't even totally believe in, just to have the argument, like just for fun. Like for him, conflict is fun.
Right.
And I remember telling him when he was like 8 years old, I was like, hey man, people like Billy Graham, Jonas Salk, Marie Curie, man, they had this countercultural kind of like, I'm going to solve this problem, even though the world says I can't. I love that characteristic in you.
Yeah.
However, when you're 8, it just makes me want to kill you. It's like the mature form of this is going to come in real handy.
Yeah.
But when you live here, you got to go with the flow, man. There's some times. So I kind of got where you were. Tell me that story, and then I have one or two other sort of follow-on questions to wrap us up. But tell me the story you said. I want to tell you that story in a minute.
Yeah, there were multiple plot points where it all could have blown up. But the one, I'm doing my best to get through this. The one was, Caleb was 12. We got 3 boys, by the way, 2 years apart.
And so he's the oldest.
He's the oldest, and he's a big kid too. So he was bigger than Mama at 12 years old.
Taller than me?
Just barely. He was bigger than me on his 14th birthday, right? And he's so he's a big kid. So there was an interesting physical dynamic with him as well. You know? But anyway, we were on the first night of a 4-week vacation in Hawaii, right? When he's 12. So of course in my head, 4 weeks. So we're at a place professionally where it's like, I don't want a vacation in Hawaii. I want to live in Hawaii. And wherever else, right? I was working in Africa at the time. We had our place in Arizona. We spent time in Idaho on the ranch. We spent time, and I'm like, let's just be honest and arrogant for a second. I'm like, dude, I have made it. I've created the life of my dreams. So we'd actually planned that years before. How do we dream, and how do we make it happen, and how do we have the autonomy to live and exist in different places and not just have to rush on a 5-night, 6-day vacation? Like, how do we do that? So here we are on the first night of a 4-week vacation in this house on the beach in Hawaii, right?
Picture perfect.
Yeah, I got the perfect, dream job, dream family. It's night 1, right? Went to our favorite restaurant, the Monkey Pod Kitchen in Maui. So good.
Shout out.
So good. That night, because we get in at work time, we do that. And then, so we're in bed. Anyway, something happens with my son and my wife. And actually I was going to sleep. And so it kind of woke me out of my subconscious was an escalation between them. He put his hands on his mom because he was mad. So you can imagine. Oh yeah. So I float across.
Papa Bear. Yeah, sure.
So anyway, I'm in this place, shame to share it, but I'm gonna, I got my son up against the wall with one hand and I had my other hand clenched in a fist.
Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah. Because, and we've had the talk, most guys do, hey, your mom and I made you, but I chose her, right? The Cliff Huxtable, I brought you to this world, I can take you out kind of thing. But also like your mom is first, and your job is to honor your mom. That's the way you're going to, you probably had these thoughts and conversations with your boys. And we said that you can't do that. You're getting bigger than mom and all that. And I'm ready to clock him, because I think he's the enemy, right?
Right.
And the Holy Spirit came over me, really, and just slowed the time into bullet time a little bit, just enough.
Drips of sweat. The clock's ticking,
that's right. Tick super slow motion, just enough to say, you can't come back from this. Like you won't come back.
I didn't think you were going to say that. Okay.
You won't come back from this. And really, it was a few things, but the number one is you too. You'll never come back for this.
Wow.
So literally, so you talk about anger-free dad. That was my moment where like it almost, and it was righteous, justified anger because he deserved it, because whatever. And because I like to win. And of course, also it's like, hey, do I want to win or do I want to have a great life? Because again, we're playing the wrong game. So.
And we got 3 more weeks at this Airbnb.
Oh yeah, 4. And so literally that was so step one, and the Holy Spirit stayed my hand, gave me that moment, and I said, go to bed. And then I had to take a walk because my wife's, she's seeing it happen real time, and it's just a mess. And I thought, if I can't be happy on a 4-week vacation with a dream family, and I married my high school sweetheart, been dating since we were 14. I got 3 amazing boys, all American this. I got my dream job working around the world, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If I can't be happy, that's a Justin problem. I'm never going to be happy.
Yeah.
And so you asked the question of what was it? It was me, why didn't you go do more of those other things? I'd done them and I'd done them and I'd done them and I'd done them and I'd done them. And for me, the addiction was, achievement and approval and blah, blah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That was it. And so that was my moment.
Okay.
That was my moment. So to close the loop of that story, Caleb and I had a sunrise reconciliation the next morning.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we went out.
That you initiated? Or
yeah.
how'd that help?
Got him out of bed.
A lot of dads have done a lot of things that they regret. Maybe it's not the punching their kid, but a lot of things, right?
Yeah. I didn't punch.
I know you didn't punch them. I know
This was the
beating their kid to a pulp.
But by the way, even if I had, God can redeem it.
Of course.
It's good. You got more work to do, but God can redeem it.
They don't know how to take the next step.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever it is. I yelled at them.
Yeah.
I was too angry.
Apologize.
Yeah. So you've got to go in. And
you have to own it and apologize.
You got to own it.
You have to own it. So we call it a reconcile. My son and I.
You wake up the next morning, and what'd you do?
I go tell him I love him and get him out of bed and say, hey, let's go. And we go to Ula Beach, right? And there's no one there. And literally the sun hasn't risen yet. And we just sit down in the sand and you're honest with him, and honest with them. And first, no apologies, but I was always an apology, but
I'm sorry, but
but really,
I mean, classic.
Just freaking own it.
Classic.
Because that's all that kid's got 12 years of. Dad is the alpha male in the room, and everybody looks at him, and he's always right, and it's always his way, and he never listens to me first. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you should. And it was me realizing, okay, this isn't my way's not working. Yeah. And while it should work, because it works with all these other boys and men and so forth, it's not working with him, and he's the only one I care about.
Right.
So it was, I'm sorry, period.
Got it.
Right?
Love that.
And then it was, how do you feel? Is this what you want? Yeah. No, Dad, I love you. And yeah, because this is not what I want. Right. So when we do that and we butt heads, so it was really just going, that's not what you want. That's not what I want. Okay. But there's something about how you and I are wired, and we spin each other up. And it's like we've got this relationship between us that is kind of a thread of, copper wires where the communication and love actually has something to flow back and forth. I said, but those wires are frayed, man. We got like one thread left. Wow. And I almost snapped it last night. Yeah.
Great.
So kind of like electrical tape. How do I get all that back and actually strengthen it,
Okay. So
we made ourselves a promise.
Okay. What was that?
No matter what.
We will go have steak tonight.
Yeah, that's it. Back to Monkey Pod Kitchen for the Mai Tais.
Right.
No matter what. One, we're going to do the work. Dad's going to do it first. Okay. Dad's going to lead it. Number 2, we will protect this relationship above our own ego, frustration. We will fight to protect that relationship. Wow. Yeah. So that's what saved us.
So dude, it's a favor. Got me. So fast forward to today, or last week, 2 weeks ago, you send me a picture from this cabin or wherever you guys were, and Caleb is now a river guide to teach people how to fly fish in kind of a Christian context, like he's doing faith-based work.
Yeah.
And y'all went out to see him, took the family. Yeah. Give me the kind of like the bookends. Tell me how it is now.
Right.
How it is now.
Yeah. So Caleb graduated a year early from high school at 17. He works at Refuge, right? This retreat where, Christian dudes and leaders and stuff, an incredible organization where guys go fly fish, ride horses, shoot guns, and smoke cigars, for a week. It's awesome. And it's run by and led by, 20 or 30 of these, 18 to 25-year-old young men, Christian guys. So they're discipling every day, they're leading, and they've got incredible Christian leaders that come in week after week after week who they're on boats with, and they're sitting around and they're serving and so forth. And so he went and did that for a year. Wow. And so my family and I, my wife and I got to drive him out there, got to move him out there, 2-day road trip to Montana. Yeah. That was probably the most important milestone and bookend of our relationship to close that chapter and go, son, I see you, I love you, and you are now a man. It was incredible, really good. And so to take my family out there, for them to see where he lives and all that sort of stuff, we fly fish, and boy, he's a man, and so it's incredible. He's got a strong faith. He is mature, and he knows he's the owner and driver of his own life now, and Dad's here to support him. So I was so especially when they're teens, I started looking and going, man, this doesn't end when he's 18. I really want an adult relationship with my son.
course, yeah.
That's what I really want. So as we battle, and I got to be patient, and I got to coach, you got a job to do, man. I got to do that well. But the ultimate thing is we got to get to the next chapter with that relationship I was talking about, with that intact, so I can continue to give wisdom to him and love him and make recommendations and ask questions that he's going to go, oh, let me think about that. Yeah. Or, hey, I'll talk to that guy. That was the most, because I just didn't want my son to be a fool. So it was Proverbs. I'm like, he's a fool. He is, and we all are. You go from simpleton to either wise or foolish.
That's right.
And I saw all these foolish behaviors, and Proverbs says a fool is a grief to his father and bitterness to her who bore him.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's our future. And I will never, and I will hate myself forever, because I can't go back and get that. I can't go back and fix that. And you see this estrangement epidemic that is actually happening in our society.
Yeah, for sure.
This adult estrangement of adult kids to their families. And of course, you got a lot of the wokeism and the progressive stuff saying your parents don't know and they're not affirming and da-da-da-da-da. So you just cut ties.
So what's interesting about that, and we don't have time to go into all the details, but what I think is fascinating is you have 2 younger kids.
Yeah.
Who both in real time, in some cases, they physically saw things happening and they were aware of the tension, obviously. But now, not only, it's a little bit like you're going to pay with cash or credit, right? You paid with cash, or now you get the benefit, you get the downstream benefit of having walked through that with Caleb, that probably, I'm guessing, we haven't talked about this, but made a huge difference in the relationship with your next 2 kids. Both how they viewed their family as a unit, but how they viewed you as a leader, how they viewed Caleb as a brother. Like you planted seeds for multi-generational, you ripped the Band-Aid off, as I might say, right? In one sense, in that the work you did with Caleb will have dividends that will pay down through your other kids and hopefully their kids and your grandkids, right? Did you see some of that with your other 2 kids?
100%. Yeah, that moment when that fist was balled, that was what I thought was. And I was trying to break my own cycle.
Not only will this affect Caleb.
Yeah, I was trying to break my own cycle of how men act. And I was like, I'm just going to F it up, just like the other guys did.
Again, right?
I'm like, I got a chance, and this is it. I'm going to blow it. And I thought about him, and then I thought about all the downstream. I thought about his kids, his grandkids, just the MacDonald line. I'm like, this is the moment, So I also later, like I said, it was hard yards. It wasn't fixed at 12. It was hard yards.
Sure, obviously,
But it was the promise. We're going to work on this, and I'm going to capture it. I'm not going to get angry.
Trajectory. You had a lot of work to do, but you were on a different path.
Thinking about the problem different, right? And thinking about the relationship different. It wasn't about the problem. It was about the person, and we're going to do the work together. And boy, it was hard yards, years and years of it. Anyway, so about 15, I started trying. I'm like, this, I got to do better. I got to do better with him. And I was still, I said it last night. I was like, still a father on paper and not a father on purpose. You know what I mean? And I realized, like, I got to actually put my time where my priorities are. That was it. What a hypocrite. I'm like, I got my priorities right, but only in word, not in actually how I spend my time.
Reflect that.
That's 100% right. So it was getting to that point. And so for me, it was 3 things. First, I'm a son of God first. So that's the first thing in the morning that I chase. I am the husband of Andrea, and I am the father of Caleb, Graham, and Kellen, right?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of guys I know guys even in like men's ministry, father ministry, who fatherhood becomes a bit of an idol, where we want to do it right, want to do it well, want to be an excellent father, be an example. But then we put fatherhood above like being a godly husband. We put fatherhood above our own daily walk with God.
Right.
It's like, that's not going to work. Like it's better than the alternatives, but it's not the right path to be on. And you figured that all out. Let me do this, Justin, to kind of wrap us up. We're going to send this video to all the people who came to the Manhood Journey Gala for sure, but we'll also send it out on our YouTube channel. I don't know where this will land. Like, I don't know whose inbox this is going to land into, but it's going to land into one of 2 kinds of people's inboxes. One kind is a dad who probably he's good. Like what you just shared is all he needed to hear. But think about that dad for a minute. Think about, even you saw him last night in the room when I said, hey, who in here is a dad? There's 90% of the room's hands went up. But then there's also folks who we want to pull in to the mission that we're on at Manhood Journey. In some ways that might be financial, like we want them to help support us financially. But in many cases, they bring their expertise, like you've coached us on digital marketing, for free basically. And so I want to pull more people into the fatherhood movement.
I love it.
Right. That's now it may be through us. It may be through other organizations. It may be non-financial. It may be financial, but I want you to think about the dad, and I want you to think about, let's just call him the donor, even though the donor is a weird term. It may be the partner, the person who wants to give us expertise. What do you say to those people about the importance of fatherhood in our culture, but also as a leader of a school, an educational institution, as a CEO, and as a dad and a husband? Like, what's the final word to those two groups of people?
Yeah. As our men go, our society goes. That's it. And our men are shaped most importantly by their father, or the lack of father that's in there. So we look at all the downstream problems. You had a beautiful graphic that showed the ripple effect of fatherhood, the force multiplier of fatherhood. And I actually do believe this. We look at all those problems and we try to solve those with government money. We try to solve those with, with pharmaceuticals. We try to solve that with all kinds of stuff. And it's all just the result of not being aligned with God's design. It's not working because it's not how it's supposed to work. So you just go upstream. And I actually believe all the upstream issue is how men lead. There's other things involved, but it is how men lead, and then how men lead in a very, not the only, but a very important role, which is how I lead as a father. And then, of course, my son, that's how my son's going to lead as a father, right? If I can
planted those seeds now.
Yeah. So I think it's the most important thing. So when people we want to make a difference in the world. Everybody wants to be a world changer in some way. And different people and different organizations have the areas that they want to play to do that. And I think when I trace it all back, the single most important one, if it was like, hey, the one thing, what one thing would make things either easier or unnecessary? That's from the one thing.
Sure.
Right. We elevate men to their place, and we men start acting the way we're supposed to act in all the places in life, but specifically in fatherhood. All those downstream things start to go away. Right. So I think that's worth waking up in the morning and supporting with whatever your time, talents, or treasures are. Yeah.
That's Justin MacDonald, and I'm Ken Evans with Manhood Journey. We had a blast last night at the gala. If you're in or near Louisville, Kentucky, we'll probably do it again next year. Come join us. But thanks for hanging out with us on this video. And Justin, man, thanks for coming into Kentucky. Thanks for spending time with us. And thanks for pouring in, not just into people who might support the ministry, but thanks for pouring into my family and pouring into my friends, my own kids. You were really kind to them while you've been here. And thanks for coming out.
Yeah, really changed my life. Thank you.